Hi guys, and welcome to Escape with Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the new Phoibos Apollo. I received this watch for free. I don't have to send the watch back, but you guys know the deal by now. No matter how I get a watch in on this channel for review, it's never going to sway my opinion. You're always going to get my honest review every single time. And if by the end of this review you do want to pick one of these up, I'll be leaving a link down in the video description that takes you right to the Phoibos official website, and you can pick up the watch there. The current retail price for this watch is $460 US. That's for the steel model, an extra $25 for the DLC models. But as always with Phoibos, you get an early bird discount of 20% for the first month, I believe it is, and that brings the price down to $368 or $388 respectively. The watch comes with 5 different dial colors, all of which can be had in either the steel or the DLC case. The watch case is made of 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal, screw-down crown, screw-down case back, Swiss BGW9 on the dial and the hands, 200 meters of claimed water resistance, and the watch is powered by the Miyota 9015 high-beat automatic movement. So this is a brand new release from Phoibos. They're starting to kind of update and redo some of their lineups with the Miyota 9000 series. So yeah, this one is going live today, January 7th, 2025. So I had the link in the description if you want to pick one of these up after the review. There is a lot to talk about, so I say we get right into it. But before we do a quick wrist check. Quickly wearing the St. Martin SN0 141, I believe. All right, getting into dimensions. We've got a bezel diameter of just under 40 millimeters, case thickness of 11.4 millimeters, 20 millimeter lug width, lug tip to lug tip of 46.5 millimeters, sized at for my 7.5 inch wrist with 3 links removed, weighs about 157 grams. So I think the size is great. It's got some heft to it. It's nice and thin as well, which is nice to see. There's a little bit of turn down to the lugs there. It's been very comfortable on wrist. You know, the crown down here at the 4 o'clock position kind of keeps it out of the way and doesn't really dig in or anything. So I think it wears pretty true to size. So I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. And here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and you can see here it wears great. I've got no issues with it. The slimness is very nice. It does have a decent turn down to the lugs as well. So it hugs the wrist beautifully, and it just sits kind of flat on the wrist, and it doesn't really wobble at all. It's very balanced on the bracelet. I think the bracelet is nice too, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, I think it just all looks really, really good. And here we are in some more direct sunlight. You can kind of see the finishing a little bit better. Really nicely done, but you can definitely see here AR coating is doing its job. I guess it looks a little washed out here on the camera, but in person, there's no issues reading this thing. The legibility on this colorway is just not great, but other than that, it's very nicely done. Let's go throw it on some straps. Strap options are pretty limited with this colorway, but I was able to find a pretty nicely matched yellow FKM. This is just a smooth one. Again, link will be down below. So yeah, if you are a Steelers fan, this would be a good one for you. But go Lions. And lastly, here we are, just a simple black nylon strap. This is a Cincy Strapco SF2. Link will be down below for these ones. Really thin nylon strap, 2 layers underneath the watch there, and it's still sitting very nice on wrist. It doesn't feel top heavy at all. So yeah, I think that looks pretty good though. Sadly, I don't have any matching DLC hardware, but this is what we have to work with. So I still think it looks good. All right, let's go back inside and let's get back to this review. All right, so let's talk about the case finishing. Hopefully you guys can see this. It's kind of different and difficult to film this DLC coating, but you can see here you have a circular brushing on the tops of the lugs there. Really nice and consistent. I think it looks good. Flipping it to the crown side here, you do have a signed screw-down crown. It's kind of just a matte crown. There's no brushing or anything on it. And then you have a vertical brushing, then you have a vertical brushing on the case sides there. I think it all does look pretty nice and tidy. Again, sorry, I'm struggling to show you guys. These bottom edges, they aren't sharp or anything like that. The crown feels nice. It's not poking out or anything like that. It's plenty of grip on the crown as well. So yeah, I think the case itself is done very nice. The case back here, you have a circular brush case back, just a steel one. They don't put DLC on the case back, which is fine. But yeah, nicely done. Little spec sheet around the outside. Everything here nice and smooth. I mean, these little corners here on these notches, they're a little sharp, but it's not something that I noticed on wrist. It's just something when you're kind of rubbing your finger over it like that, it kind of catches. But other than that, the whole case has been nicely rounded off, and it's, you know, super comfortable on wrist. I haven't had any issues with it, so I'm overall pretty happy with the case finishing, even though it's kind of hard to see here. They did a nice job with it. The execution on it, really high quality from Phoibos. Now let's talk about the bezel. So the bezel is a 120 click unidirectional bezel. You have a ceramic bezel insert, which you can see is a circular brush there, really nicely done. Everything you see in white there is loomed with BGW9. We'll get to the Lume Shot later on, but yeah, it's really nicely done. Getting up close, you can kind of see the texture of it. Yeah, pretty happy with the bezel insert. There's not a whole lot to complain about. Everything is done nice and tidy there. The bezel itself, it kind of has these big teeth on it. There's plenty of grip on it. I think it's a good resistance too. Like I said earlier, it is a 120 click. So you can see here, first off, there's absolutely no play and the alignment is spot on. Really happy with that. I'll let you listen to the bezel here. Hopefully you can hear it. So it's kind of a deep thunking click. Really, again, really nicely done. When you start to zip it a little bit, it gets a little more loud, but yeah, pretty happy with the bezel on this thing. It is, like I said, it's aligned perfectly. The resistance is good. There's no play in it. There's no slop anywhere in it. I mean, it's just a very solid bezel. Even the grip is good. Resistance is good. Yeah, it's just nicely done. I mean, Phoibos has had some very nice bezels in the past, so I'm not really surprised that they did a good job with this one. All right, let's talk about the crystal. First things first, we'll test it for sapphire. It's positive for sapphire. So we have a flat piece of sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating. They say it is 3 layers of anti-reflective coating on the underside, and I believe it. It's a nice crystal. I don't always think flat sapphires need anti-reflective coating, so the fact that they're throwing layers on there, really nice. I mean, it's a very simple crystal, but nicely done. You can see there, it doesn't really sit up above the bezel or anything like that. It's just dead flat piece of sapphire crystal, but they chose a good one. All right, so let's talk about the dial. There's a lot going on this dial, so we're going to start from the outside and work our way in. So you can see here you have a kind of a raised minute track there, and then the minute markers, I'm hoping you guys can see them. They are also kind of raised up and printed up. Those are loomed. Even the black is loomed, so anything black on here except for the black on the hands, that is also loomed. So yeah, it's a really cool Lume Shot, which we'll get here in just a second. But so you have, like I said, you have this raised outer ring. Then you have the dial layer itself, which is a very nice texture, as you can see there. Yeah, getting up nice and close, you can see even the printing on the logo, really nice and crisp. You have a color match date window there at the 3 o'clock position. And then you have a sandwich dial too. So you can really see it here at the 12, 6, and 9 position. But even these little black markings there at each of the other hour markers, those are also on that separate layer there. So really a very interesting dial, lots going on. The legibility of this yellow dial is not the best. It does help that they have the black there, so it's not horrible, but it is something that you should consider if you're looking at this yellow dial. The other ones, they seem fine. But yeah, really a lot going on, but very, very cool. You can see all the other hour markers besides the sandwich cutouts. Those are raised up just a little bit. They're not applied. They're just nice thick printing of that BGW9 loom. The handset on this, so you have a very simple kind of, I guess like a toothpick style seconds hand there sweeping along that tip there. It is loomed. It's not very nicely loomed, which you'll see here in a little bit, but it is loomed a little bit. The handsets, they have nice big counterbalances on it, kind of a shovel style hour hand there, and then just a fence post minute hand, really nicely sized, nice and big and bold, and they really do jump off that dial. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the handset on it. Everything is done nice and clean. I don't see any fluff or anything like that under the dial. Yeah, overall, really happy with it. The day window is nicely centered as well. And the lume on this watch, the lume is actually pretty darn good. So I'm going to pop it up against a few other watches in the collection. You can see here the Y's, that just kind of decimates everything. The other Phoibos is very good as well. So this one hangs in with that one. I'd say the lume on this watch is a solid like 8 out of 10. It's pretty impressive lume. I like it, and I like, you can see the darker lume, kind of a different shade. It does fade a little bit faster, but the BGW9 hangs on all night long, and it's pretty easy to read in the middle of the night. All right, so let's talk about the movement inside. So the movement, like I mentioned earlier, is the Miyota 9015. So it's their higher end, high beat automatic movement, nice and thin. It allows them to keep the case nice and thin. 11.4 millimeters for a 200 meter diver is pretty impressive. And you can see just the rehaut depth on it is just super narrow. So yeah, it looks fantastic. The movement itself, they're very reliable. Here's how mine has been running. They're 28,800 beats per hour. They hack, they hand wind, and they got about 42 hours of power reserve. So there's not a whole lot to complain about. They do have a single directional winding rotor, but it's not something that I've really noticed in this watch. So yeah, I like it a lot. These movements are excellent, and I like that they allow manufacturers to slim down the case, and that's what I really like about this watch. So yeah, overall, really happy with it. It's pretty simple. Screw down crown here at the 4 o'clock position. You get a nice pop out from the Miyota. First position is your hand winding. Feels just like a Miyota would. Pull it out to the first position. This changes your date. Again, everything is nicely centered in there. Pull it out again, it hacks the movement, and this is where you set your time. Everything functions, like I said, as it should. The alignment, spot on. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to complain about. You push it in, starts up the movement every single time, and then the threading is nice and smooth. It picks up the threads every single time. I don't feel like I'm ever cross-threading it, so yeah, really happy with the movement and the crown action on this watch. It's very good. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet. So the bracelet on the watch is a 20 millimeter bracelet, and it tapers down to 18 millimeters at the clasp. You can see here it's an H-link style bracelet, really nicely done, a vertical brushing. The end-link fitment looks nice and tidy. Again, it's kind of hard to show you guys, but it is there. It's nice and tidy. I can see, let me see here, right up here you can see it, this one. I can see a little gap there. I can't move this end link. Like, I'm trying to wiggle it back and forth, and it's not moving at all. So it's just something I noticed and wanted to point out to you guys. It's not something that really translates on wrist or anything. The tolerances on the bracelet seem to be pretty good. It's pretty comfortable. This bottom edge is nicely rounded off. It is a screw link bracelet, so I removed 3 links for my 7.5 inch wrist. I had no issues removing those links. Yeah, the fluidity of the bracelet is good. The finishing looks to be good too. You do kind of have that mismatch in finishing where you have the vertical brushing on the bracelet and the circular brushing on the case, but that's pretty standard now. Working our way to the clasp, we have a Phoibos branded clasp. I don't know why they put Phoibos here instead of the octopus. Yeah, I'm not really sure why they did that, but that's what they chose. It looks good though. You have a vertical brushing. Hopefully you can see that through all of my fingerprints here. That's one thing with DLC. You get lots of fingerprints, but it does hide it fairly well. You're just noticing it a lot more just because of the lighting here. But the clasp itself, I've seen the clasp before. It's nice and thin. It is pretty long, but it's a nice clasp. There's no real sharp edges on it. It's fully milled on the inside with nice tight tolerances everywhere. So it opens and closes just as you would expect it to. And then you have your on-the-fly adjustment system here. Again, really hard to show you guys with the DLC, but you can push it in without pushing the button, but to extend it, you do have to pull back that button there, and then you can extend it out. You get about, I want to say it's like 7 or 8 millimeters of adjustment, so you should be able to get a good fitment on this thing. I got it pretty much dialed in perfectly for my 7.5 inch wrist. So overall, I do like the bracelet. It feels good. It's very comfortable, and I think it looks really good on this watch too. So yeah, I like the bracelet a lot. So there you go, guys. That is the brand new Phoibos Apollo launching today. If you guys have had a Phoibos in the past, I don't think there's any real surprises here. It's a very solid, well-built watch. Good bracelet, nice crystal, good lume, and a very reliable movement, and all in a very slender package for a 200 meter dive watch. So they got a bunch of different colors, a bunch of different case options. So go to the website, check them out, and I think you'll be able to find an option that you guys like. Yeah, I mean, this watch there's not a whole lot to complain about, guys. Yeah, especially for the early bird price of $370, I think, something like that. It's a very good option, especially with the Miyota 9000. That's a good price for the Miyota 9000, period. Throw in the good build quality. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to complain about. So go check them out. I think that's it for me. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.